Hey guys, and we are back just like I said we were. We have Liz Reinhardt. Yes. Always excited when I pronounce stuff correctly. So, yes, you don't realize how much you don't know words until you have to help your daughter with third grade stuff. And
Oh,
I'm
for
like,
sure,
I
yeah.
pronounce nothing. As usual, guys, you can add your comments below if we get another hiccup like we did with the first show. I guess YouTube decided to do something funky, and I could not share the link at all. You can also tweet them out and tag me, and I will find them. I will find your questions, no matter where you put them. And you are the author of Rebels Like Us, correct?
That's right, yep. That's right.
Woohoo.
Awesome book.
Well, thank you.
All right.
Would
Well,
you like to tell it? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yes. Oh, but like we always do, of course, let us know about who you are and your titles, and then we'll go from
Yeah,
there.
sure. Okay, so my name's Liz Reinhardt, and I am a YA author. And I started Self-Pub like many years ago when Self-Pub was the baby inception. And my first book, Self-Pubbed, was called Double Clutch. And I self-pubbed for a couple of years, and I got scooped into like hybrids. So some of my books were self-pubbed, and then some were like also traditionally pubbed, especially overseas. And then I submit Rebels Like Us to my agent, who I got because I was self-pubbed and I was doing pretty well. And she got me a deal with Inkyard Press, which was Harlequin Teen. And that is Rebels Like Us is my first book that came out with them. And then my second one is coming out in the spring. Not this spring. Spring 2021.
Excited. Oh, are we losing Jessica?
I don't know.
We're back. My computer's been yelling at me because I had it sitting on a pillow, so I sat it on a book, and apparently when I shifted it, I pulled out my Ethernet cord just a hair. So it's like, oh, we're having connection problems. Oh, crap. So I just unplugged it and went back to Wi-Fi. We'll just, fingers crossed, it's okay. Okay, so let's try this again. So you were self-publishing, and
I was self-publishing, and I was just like, I sent queries for years, and I got a lot of really good feedback, but everybody was just like, nah, it's a pass. Like, we really liked it. We passed it around the whole agency. Everybody read it. We really enjoyed it. Pass. So I got impatient. I turned 30, and I was like, I'm not waiting anymore. I'm going to self-pub. So I self-pubbed my first book, and it did well. And I wound up getting an agent because of my self-pub numbers, and then I was able to break into traditional publishing. And Rebels Like Us is my first like truly traditional pub across everything book with Inkyard Press. And then my next YA with Inkyard comes out in spring of 2021, like tentatively. I don't know. The world is crazy now, so who knows?
Yeah. And Rebels Like Us is a contemporary?
Mm-hmm. So it's contemporary YA. Okay. And it's based on a true story that I read in the paper that happened close to my home, my current home. So I'm from New Jersey. That's where I was born and raised. And we moved down to Georgia, and I've taught in Georgia middle schools and elementary schools. And there was this senior prom or prom that happened. It was segregated. So just as far as I know, it was black kids, white kids. Everyone always asks, like, what about Asian kids? What about, I don't know.
Right.
It's terrible. I read about it in general. I didn't get a ton of details, but it just was like fascinating. And I was like, how could that be? It had happened fairly recently.
Oh, so, wow.
In Rebels Like Us, the main character moves from New York to Georgia for her senior year, and she is encountering like all of this weird culture that some of it great, and some of it, of course, like a segregated prom, really upsetting. And Ness is, her father's Dominican and her mother is like Irish American. So she kind of has this like, racial identity that she's exploring still. And she winds up helping them to get the prom desegregated, and she falls in love with a guy. There's a lot of kissing and like just good teen stuff.
Sounds like a good escape book for COVID.
It's dealing with an issue, but it's also like it's very solidly a romance. It's emotional, and it's kind of like what they're going through in their life, and it's a good. I don't know. I like it.
So it got a cover change, right? Because when I was doing
the hardback had
Yeah, can you show the two covers if you have them?
yeah,
I like them.
okay, so
I like them both.
Because I noticed like the Kindle link had like the red or a pink cover on it.
Yeah, so I actually love the cover artist who worked on it. She's really wonderful, and I tagged her in my Instagram post. If you go back, you can see it. Oh, do I have a hardback cover of it?
I don't usually love both covers equally when they change covers.
Right?
And this is one of those rare times that I love both the covers and I cannot figure out which one I like better.
So she was so great when she talked about it. I can't believe I don't have a hard of this one. Okay, so this is the paperback. This is the second one that came out.
I love that cover.
The hardback.
Can you hold it up just a little bit more, please?
That's so pretty.
Yeah, it's so well done.
It goes along with all of the colors that are in the original. That's hardback. Hold on one second. I know I have the hardback. Hold on.
Yeah, it's beautiful. They're both really well done. I love them. This was a very fun book for me to read because I actually read this book during Vermont winter, and it's based in the South, so it's freezing outside Vermont, and I read this book. Yeah. So I love that one too.
The colors are sort of similar, and the cover artist who did it, she was so great. She posted both of them, and she said, when we did the first cover, like the country was happy and everything was going great. The economy was really good, and then we hit some hard times, and we kind of had to bring the cover back down a little. So
man, see, and I'm like, I love hard covers because they last longer, especially with as much as I read. But like I love the paperback cover too.
They're both, and both times when they sent them to me, I was like, that's just beautiful. It's beautiful. I love them. So. That's lucky because you have input. You don't always have input. I shouldn't say that. If you publish with Inkyard Press, they're wonderful, and they will ask for your input, and they will take it seriously. So I have had covers that the newer book, I did have some ideas for things that I want to change. They were super nice, and they ran changes for me, and they were awesome. But ultimately it's their decision. Of course, they're putting the book out. So if they don't agree, they're like, too bad. Sorry, deal with it. But both of those covers were like, other than minor tweaks, they were just like beautiful the way that they were. So
they're nice. What's with the sticker on it? Because I saw that it has said like 17 or something.
So
17 magazine.
Yeah, 17 magazine promoted it and gave like excerpts through it. So it got a little 17 magazine sticker, and it just meant that it had like the publicity of 17 behind it, which was really cool. Nice. It was awesome.
So it's because I'd never seen that before. So I was like, what is that?
It was, so they did an imprint, and they had a few authors like in it, and they ran it for, I don't know if it went beyond the three of us, but I know that there were a few authors who did it and kind of like tried it out, just like dipping their toe in the water of like publishing an imprint and getting a feel for it. So I don't know how it worked out for them.
Cool.
It was pretty cool. And famously, Melissa De La Cruz was one of the authors, so she's big time. So
big time. Yeah. So Liz, were you one of the kind of the trailblazers of new adult?
So I would like to think. So when I was self-publishing, the problem was that the books that I was writing were like, they liked them, but this is what we got back a lot. It was like, there's no shelf to put this book on. And we were like, okay. Build a shelf, maybe? I don't know. So we, my co-writer and I, so Steph Campbell was my co-writer, and we came up with a series called the Silver Strand series that took place in California, but they were like not high school kids, they were college kids, but they weren't adults. They were definitely still in that, like, maybe I'm still on my parents' like insurance. I'm living out on my own, but like I still go home for Sunday night dinner because like I'm really hungry kind of age. And New Adult was like formed. It was formed very organically. And the readers were just like hungry for it. So we would put these books up, and they would like do great on Kindle, and you get all these sales. And actually, Tamara Weber, who famously wrote the book Easy, she's like a huge, she does great work with New Adult. She designed the like updated cover for Double Clutch. So I had an original cover for Double Clutch that I put out, and she was like, I read your book and I love it. I think it needs a new cover. And I just came up with this on the spot. And so she like put together this beautiful like cover, and the sales just took off after that. So that was really cool. Yeah. So yeah, it was a really weird experience because it was super community. It was like authors all talking to each other, bloggers talking to authors, readers coming to meet you. Like I knew my readers, and like they would carry the books to these things that we would meet up at. It was very cool.
Oh, that's so cool. So like all those books are still up, correct?
They are so Double Clutch and that series, and then Fall Guy. I still have self-pub rights in the US, but a Random House UK owns them in the UK. So UK and any of its territories, you can buy them like from the shelves. So every once in a while, someone will post the UK book, and like sometimes like one time I was so excited. I was like, "Oh my god, you found my book! Where'd you get it?" And they put the name of the store. I don't remember what it was now. And I googled it, and it's like the dollar store. I'm so really happy. I'm so really happy. I think it's great, but like I definitely went to the dollar bin at some point, which is cool. I mean, it's accessible. I pick up books all the time when I'm at dollar stores, so I'm not offended. But
I always hate that the dollar store, like they'll have books, but then it's like book 2 or book 4 in the series. Like, what did book 1 just run away?
You know.
It's crazy. Like we went to Goodwill yesterday because of course everything's starting to open back up over here, and I found book 1 and book 3 of Shadow and Bone with the newer covers.
Oh, nice.
I knew. I'm like, okay, I have to save these. These need a good home. But I was like, okay, book 2 has to be around here somewhere. But it wasn't. I'm like, great. Somebody grab book 2 because of the covers are gorgeous, of course, not realizing it's a book 2.
Yeah.
And then they're like, great, I need book 1. They're not gonna know what's going on.
There's an author named Megan McCafferty who wrote this series, the Jessica Darling series, and one of the first ones called Sloppy First, and I love it. And some people know it, and some people are like, I don't know that book. But down here in little Podunk, Georgia, we have a store, like a used store, and they have like books like 3 and 5.
Right.
They don't have 1 and 2 and 4, and I'm like, who is this mystery person? Like, did you love the books?
That happens everywhere. I work at a used bookstore, and we will have stuff, and like in the YA section, because that's like my section, and we'll have like book 3 and 8 and 4, but we won't have like book 1.
Like,
so then when
why?
A lady brought books in the other day, and I'm like screaming, and they're like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "It's book 1." Because everybody comes in and they want stuff. Like a lady, I had gone through all my swag and gave them a whole bunch of sample books, and this lady grabs a sample book of An Ember in the Ashes. Within like 3 days, I'm getting a phone call, and I'm like asleep in bed. They're waking me up, and they're like, "Do we have this book?" And I'm like, "We have like book 3."
Oh,
we don't have book 1 and 2. Sorry.
It's hard, man. It's hard. I try at my used bookstore because it's not a huge. We have bookstores in Savannah. We have really great indie bookstores, and we have some of the bigger like Barnes and Nobles and stuff. But in my actual town, we have 1 little secondhand, and we have 2 libraries. It's really small. So I try to, when I read something that's really good, I try not to be greedy and like turn it in at the used store, because I feel like people need to see some like new titles. Like maybe I'm helping push some stuff in.
Right. It's so hard not to like see stuff at like Goodwill and stuff, because it's like $1. It's like, oh, well, I'm gonna grab this and take it to the used bookstore. Here you guys go, so somebody else can find it. It's so hard not to do that with everything.
I want to hear about your new book.
Copies of like Great Expectations and like I don't know, like Antigone, and like those are great, but I don't think you don't need 50 of them. Maybe like contemporaries.
So Liz, I want to hear about your new book.
All right, so my new book, I don't even know. I don't know what I'm allowed to say about it yet, because it's like in copy edit.
Okay, don't talk about it if you can't.
Why not? Like, I don't know if am I allowed to say the title? Yeah, I'll say the title. I don't care. It's called The Flip Side of Perfect. So it's good. It's very good. Okay, so it's based on not my life, but like elements of my life. So she is the oldest sister when she lives in Michigan. She's got 2 little sisters, and she is the only daughter of a man in Florida and a woman in Michigan. So when she goes down to Florida, she's the youngest. She's the baby. She's a little half sister. And when she's in Michigan, she's the oldest. And she lives these like 2 completely separate lives. During the school year, she's like taking care of business and overachiever and like doing everything the right way. And when she goes down to Florida, she just like lets loose and has fun, and she's the baby. And then one summer, like everything collides and her lives kind of come together, and she's always worked really hard to keep them separate. And, she comes to realize there's lots of good to letting her life change, letting these 2 lives like come together. So it's very much a family book. It's super romantic. She's got a great like frenemy who becomes her love interest. So I loved writing it. It's weird because I can remember pitching the idea when I was like pregnant with my baby, who's now just celebrated her 2nd birthday. So this book just feels like the longest friggin' book. Like, not long as in, but like from like the day that I conceived it to the birth of this book, it's like, it's intense. I feel like
How hard was it to write and have a baby?
it was awful, and I kept saying like, oh, I'm gonna go on maternity leave, so like I'll just have time to write it, because my older girl's 14, and my husband and I were like, oh yeah, remember how good she was? Like, she was such a good baby. I don't know if like you just blank it in your minds, but this one's not a good baby. She cries a lot, and she's needy. She's so cute, but she's like crawling up on me all the time. So
oh man,
the good side is that I have like a 14-year-old. You know, like my husband and I are like, what were we, crazy? But we have this like built in. She's great, and she just, if I say to her, you know, babe, I need like an hour, she'll take her, and she's very, very good. That older one is really good. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
No, I wish mine would have been. Mine wasn't that old though. Mine are 6 years apart, so one is getting ready to turn 16 and one is 9. So the one when the other was born, she was only 6. So not changing diapers at that age yet.
They're still really a kid. And I mean, the plan was not. That was not the plan.
Darn.
Not the plan at all. So when Amelia was 2, we started trying for another baby, and we tried a lot, and it just didn't happen. And finally, I like gave away everything, like all my maternity stuff. I gave away all the stuff I'd held on to, maternity clothes, newborn stuff, everything. And I was starting to teach 4th grade. I loved it. I was so excited. I loved the school. I had a great team. And my husband was like, is it September already? And I was like, it's September? Is it September? I need to get a pregnancy test. And he was like, what? So we started, and like out of the blue, it was crazy.
That's how it works. Stop trying. Stop trying. You know?
We really did. We really did. I mean, we stopped like thinking about trying.
Yeah.
Obviously, we didn't stop trying because she happened. But yeah, she's great. She's just like, it's crazy.
My kids are adopted, and I can't tell you how many people like just gave up and adopted kids, and then they had a baby.
That's what I kept hearing. People were like, well, you should just adopt. Like, adopting's not something you just like, oh, I'll just do that. That's
funny. I mean, it worked out great. You know, like they adopted a kid, and then all of a sudden they had the baby.
Kids everywhere. Babies crawling out of the ceiling.
I know somebody who did that, and they adopted like 3 kids. It was a family, and then she found out that she was pregnant, and she was pregnant with like quads.
Oh my god!
Well,
and I'm just like, I mean, holy crap, that's insane.
I follow a girl on Instagram from Denmark who had surprise triplets.
Right.
And she's wonderful and beautiful and just like very smart. But I also follow her because when I'm feeling bad for myself, I just go on her Instagram and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're so beautiful. These babies are just, they're beautiful. And I just like have to turn it off. Like, okay, that's enough. Can't imagine.
All right, Liz, I got a question for you. Like, so your teaching, that inspired your writing the book a little bit, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So how did that happen?
So Rebels happened because I was teaching middle school. One thing that I thought was really cool when I got the cover, the original cover, one of my girls was like, Miss Reinhardt, like, she's black. I was like, yeah. She's like, but did you write a book where, you know, like she's kind of was saying, I have, and this, of course, now remember, this is like a couple years ago now, Rebels has been out. And she was kind of saying, like, I don't feel like you see many covers like that, you know, and thank goodness we've had an explosion of diversity and we've had a lot of different stuff. But it came from this idea of me being like, how as a teacher could you like know that there were 2 proms going on and be like, yeah, that's fine. Like, are you selling bids? Like, I had all these questions, like, were there 2 themes? Were there 2 songs? Like, this is blowing my mind because as a teacher, like, you're doing all the organization for the kids. Like, how do you reconcile with that? Like, that's just weird. So it was like a lot of the book is about this idea of like people letting things go because they say, oh, it's tradition. Like, well, it's tradition. We've always done it that way. Instead of saying, oh, like, it's racism. You shouldn't do that. So that kind of helped because the kids were very vocal. They would talk to me about things that they thought were unfair. Or like, I remember when we did the court, you know, like the homecoming court. And there was a big kerfuffle because there was this thing that was like presented like, well, maybe we should have 2 homecoming courts. We're like, no, what?
Oh,
So it
wow.
was just, like there was a lot of discussion about just inclusivity and like being very understanding that things need to be more open. We need to talk about things more. We need to not say, oh, that's just our tradition and let it stand if it's wrong. You gotta,
Right. And you have a pretty diverse student population, correct, where you are?
Yeah, so I don't know about all of Georgia, but Savannah, so the last school I taught at was probably like, a solid, like I'd say 40% was, so African American, and then we had the white population, and then we have a very small, we have a growing Latin population, which is great because we have a lot of people coming in for jobs, and probably like our Asian American population was a little bit smaller, but it was just the kids really, I also taught fourth grade. They're still sweet at that level. They're not really, they're not mean in general. So we didn't see mean in racial terms. We didn't see it as much in general, but it's complicated. Like it's complicated in every grade, and especially as they get older. But I think if you don't talk about it and you don't have any stories to tell about it, or you don't if you just say like, oh, we don't see color, that's ridiculous. They do, and it affects things, and you have to be open-minded and be willing to talk about it.
What do the kids think of your book?
So it's got like a sexy scene, and I taught 8th grade. Like that was the highest stuff I learned here in Georgia. So they would keep saying like, "Oh, Ms. Reiner, like we're gonna buy your book," and I'm like, yeah, but like I'm not advising you to buy it. I'm not like encouraging it. And then I said to them, I can talk to you about it when you graduate 8th grade, because then you're like a high schooler. It's a little different.
Right.
So they were really
closer to
really
it.
proud, really nice about it. And
nice.
They would go to Barnes and Noble and see it and be like, you really wrote a book.
You're famous. You're famous now.
I was like, I wasn't lying about it. So they were, of course, they're also like, but why are you teaching? Like, aren't you rich now? I'm like, not at all.
Yeah.
So, did you end up getting any flack at all because your main character is biracial?
So I had really, really good sensitivity readers who were super helpful and just kind of were these great guides and helped me to make sure that if anything came up, it would be addressed. And when I wrote my book, my pub date was actually the same as Angie Thomas's pub date for Thug. So obviously, if you want to read a really great racial book, that is the book I recommend. My book is a good book, and it's a romantic book, but it is not like the be all. Of course, I mean, I knew I was coming from a vantage point where I didn't have, I had experience as a teacher and as being someone who was in touch with the population that I was writing about, but not like personal experience, and I know that. So we worked really hard at Inkyard to make sure that it wasn't just, what my ideas were. It just had, it had to be something that was checked through really thoroughly. And so,
well, that's good because, the dumpster fire of Twitter, I'm kind of surprised that I didn't, why is this white lady, writing a book about this black girl? And
it was just before that sort of awareness. I mean, we were aware enough to be very sensitive to it and to really, I think the thing that probably comes through if you read it is I really do care about the characters, and I really gave a lot of thought and listened to a lot of kids, and had a lot of kids in my office telling me issues that they had, and really kind of channeled some of that energy, and was thinking also what as a teacher, I'm writing a book and I've got this population, and if I write a book where it's only representative of my race, or that's the only thing that I know and feel comfortable writing, how does that reflect to my students? Because then they're all going to feel like, oh, okay, so that's the only thing you want to write about. You know what I mean? I feel obligated to say, not that I'm at all. It's just one story, man. It's just one drop. And thank goodness there are so many own voices books now. I think that's a really good place that we're moving to.
We have a write-in from, of course, the Allie.
Hi,
I
Allie.
know who this Allie person is. She's stalking us.
You love Allie.
Allie's always here. She says, I love the message that you bring into the book. I've a few occasions where I dealt with racism and prejudice, so I'm grateful when authors tackle these issues.
Oh, thank you, Allie. That's an excellent comment. And I want to say it. Sometimes you're nervous to write that kind of stuff. Of course you're nervous, because it's that's not my own personal experience always, and I don't want to act like I'm explaining it to everybody else. I'm not explaining it. I'm giving a reflection, I hope, of some things that I've seen that I don't think are fair or great. And I also felt like I owed it to the kids who I love them so much, and I think they're wonderful, and I don't want them to never see anything on the shelf, or I don't want them to think, well, because my teacher is this, race, she's not going to be interested in writing about people like me ever. And that's crazy. Of course, I love them. I would happily tell a story that involved people who look and experience things like they do.
I mean, it's fine. I mean, I think, that authors shouldn't be subjected into only writing about their own culture and stuff. I mean, as long as you do your research and stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got to be open-minded. When those sensitivity reads come in, you can't be hurt by them. You have to say, okay, yeah, I'm coming from a place where I don't understand that bias, and I have to be open. And I really feel like writing the book made me a better writer and like a better human, like a more understanding person. And I'm really, really glad I had that experience. So yeah, I mean, but it was scary. Like, I'm not going to say it wasn't, you do feel like maybe other people deserve to have their voice heard too. I mean, I'm glad I'm in there. I'm glad I got it, but I certainly don't think that, like, if you're going to read a book about race, like, this is the book you should go to. No. It's one book. It's representational, and it's a romance more than anything else. So,
and she does romance exceedingly well. Let me just say, she does it very, very, very well. It's YA appropriate. It is.
Yeah, my husband says that's because of him, because he's so
That's funny. So you both dealt with sensitivity readers, right?
Yeah, Lori has had, I think, even more sensitivity readers than I have.
I have 9 for about 9 for each book, and
no,
it's been great. No, really, it's been great. I mean, too professional. But I mean, of those 9, they're professional authors. All different cultural backgrounds, racial backgrounds, and I changed the book hugely because of their feedback. So all the books, everyone.
I just noticed you changed your name again.
I did.
I know, Lori. I was like, I put my name, man. I didn't like put like a cool name. Just put, like, my name.
All hail the level 5 nerd. I feel so sorry because I had gotten an email last week that somebody wanted me to sensitivity read their book, and it was like based on Mexican Hispanic culture, and I'm like, okay, yes, I am Hispanic, but I grew up in Ohio.
Yeah.
I did not have any type of traditional Mexican upbringing. No.
Yeah.
No, I am not the person to go to.
And all sensitivity readers, like, I should give a caveat. Like, anything that you find in my book, if you read my book and you're like, that is insulting, or I don't like that, never blame the sensitivity reader, because they're coming at it from, like, also, although they give recommendations, like, essentially in the end, you make the decision whether you are going to make the change or not. And usually, I mean, I know Lori and I are both pretty adamant that we make the change. If it's like, yeah, of course, like, if that's something that needs to be changed, we'll change it. But sometimes it's more like, here's something that might upset people, but, like, I don't know if you want to change it or not. So in the end, it really is, like, it's up to the author. So.
It's interesting because some of the things that people, I mean, very few, but most people that haven't read my book, but like the homophobia in my books. Actually, there were 2 sensitivity readers who are gay, and I was actually a little skittish. I was like, should we pull this from the book? And they were like, no, this is a very real experience. I mean, this is real. We should leave this. So I actually, left it, went out a limb, because of my gay sensitivity readers saying to me, no, let's leave it. This is accurate. It's good. Let's leave it. So, and I think of the people that actually read the book, it really resonated. So,
yeah, and Lori and I have talked about the fact that you have to balance, like, we know that they're not acting great. When you read a character acting shitty, it's like, well, I know that that's not a good way to act, but bear with me. Like, it's gonna change. They're gonna grow.
You're like promoting that.
I can understand, that I understand that this is gonna, offend somebody, but there's a reason why it's here.
Yes, or like, I mean, like, when Ellerin, she had such a huge, like, character arc development. You can't have that arc unless you've got to start, and then you've got an arc, so you can't say, well, she was so, of course she was. She's going to grow, guys. Give it a minute.
I've seen so many reviews of the Black Witch that say that, oh, this girl's racist. Yes, but keep going.
Keep reading. Yeah.
But can I just say, like, 95% of the people that have actually read the book review it well. It's almost 100, close to 100% of the people having a problem with the series have not Reddit.
Yeah, and that's that's the thing now. People like to leave
chapters.
reviews.
Yeah, but I think Liz is right that I've learned a lot from the sensitivity readers. The books are way better because of them. I've learned a lot as a person. I wouldn't trade it for the world. The fact that that both Liz and I engaged with the culture, and I think I feel like a better person for it. I hope, anyway.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
You can ask all the questions you want, Lori. I'm going to see if we can stay on for longer than 30 minutes. I have to go count.
So Liz, what are you working on right now? Are you working mainly on edits for the new book, or you have other projects?
So I just finished those edits, and then I have they're gonna let us. I have a time travel book that I'm working on where she kind of like sifts through, and so that's my Lori. I'm trying to do something that's not total contemporary, but like so I told Lori when I wrote my first book. So when I wrote this is Double Clutch, that Tamara Weber made the cover.
That looks so cute.
And then it got repubbed in the UK. It's got a different cover because they wanted a boy on it too, even though there's 2 boys. So I read Twilight, right, and I was like, blew my mind. And then I was like, Frank, I have to write a book. I read like the whole series, just devoured them. So I wrote this like really shitty vampire book. It was boring. It was like pompous. And my friend read it, and she's like, like, your writing is good, like your actual writing, but like the story's kind of meh.
So is it true that everybody has a vampire book like hidden somewhere in their closet?
That is my my theory that like if you self-pub, like you wrote a vampire book and then you found your voice. So I was like, what I loved about it wasn't really, I loved the love triangle, but I thought like Jacob was so screwed, man. Like you knew she wasn't gonna pick Jacob. So I wrote a love triangle book where both guys, to this day, when I talked about this book, and I wrote this book like years ago, and when I talked about this book online because I'm so excited that Stephanie Meyer's got something new coming out, people were like, oh, Team Saxon, Team Jake, like through the comments, like years later, because I was like, I did it. I wrote a book that, I think there's probably like not an even divide, but a lot of people like both guys. And like my husband said, like, if she doesn't end up with this particular guy, I don't know if we should be together.
I'm gonna kill you. You're like, I'm done if this doesn't happen. So do you think that you would ever try New Adult again now that it has like an actual home?
Yeah, I love New Adult. I just think that time period, I think New Adult's gotten scarier. I feel for like my brother's college age now, and it's like, man, I thought it was tough when I was in college, and it's like, it's just tough. It's really tough. But I think like I don't know, I'm hopeful. They're a very like.
You have favorite New Adult authors?
So I guess I'm pretty old school because like Tamara Weber would be a favorite. Samantha Young did a lot of really great contemporary New Adult that I love. And I know like some New Adult go in between. They go from like contemporary to kind of like back and forth, which I think is really cool too. I would like to even do adult when I'm grown up one day. My friends who write adult, they're like, are you ever gonna like be a grown up and write like a grown up book, or are you just
no. See, that's why I read YA, because YA is amazing. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I can follow the story. Then we'll get the adult book in the mail, and I go to read that, and I'm like, what? I'm like 2 chapters in, and I'm like, okay, where are these people at? What is going on?
I also think maybe my husband and I met, I was like maybe 19, and I was like, dude, we're not gonna get married, like don't get attached, like we're not gonna last past the summer. And then I was like, we're not gonna last like past the year. I'm like, we're not gonna last past 3 years. And then we were married, and I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna last, but now we have 2 kids and it's been like 1,000 years. So I feel like once I became an adult, like we're just so settled down, like what is there to talk about? Like I love him, he's great, but it's like you don't want to know our nights are boring. In a good way, in an essential good way.
I feel you there.
You would not want to like write about that.
Right.
What are you doing? Okay, come here.
Oh, show the baby!
Babies.
Show the baby!
Oh, say hi!
Oh.
She's supposed to be.
Hi! see your pictures.
She's supposed to be with her dad. He's it's like,
we have to see the baby.
Where is he? Where's the baby, Frank? Where'd the baby go?
No.
It's so funny because the lady that I had just gotten done talking to, both her girls came in the bedroom and was like hanging all over her, and I think she said they were 7 and 9, and they're just like, they don't care. And I'm like, see, I'm glad my 9-year-old got a bicycle, so she was like outside away.
It's so nice.
Oh, it's so nice. I'm like, is everybody still alive out there?
Yeah, no, it's weird. It's bizarre. And Georgia's opening back up slowly, but we haven't really. I mean, school's over, so so we kind of just hang at home.
So Liz, when are you gonna write fantasy?
I don't know. So I thought
when are you gonna throw some dragons in there? You know, I'm always trying to,
you just need to get all these authors. You got all these authors. You already have an idea you want to do. You just need to have everybody like, okay, here's a tarot card. Write a book.
Yeah.
Write a short story. Here's
and I love fantasy. When I read, so I read The Black Witch because I was going to meet Lori at a like a librarian association thing. That was so fun.
Right,
so
and I read your book. And
I was like, that's rude. I'm not going to go hang out with this person and not have read their book. Like, that's so rude. So I'm reading the book and I'm on the plane and Frank's like, so how's the book? Like, you know, you haven't read anything fantasy in a while. And I was like, she's going to be real famous. She's going to be real famous, right? And I was just like, oh my God, this book is so good. You're going to be real famous.
And I was reading your book at the same time. And I was like, oh my God. I loved it. So she writes romance very, very well. Let's just say that.
Which ALA did you go to? Where was it at?
What's that?
You said was it ALA?
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Did we meet in Minnesota?
Oh, Minnesota.
God, I was literally on a plane every day for like a week.
She was so famous. I was just a little bit famous.
Well, apparently me and Lori has met, but we can't figure out where. And I've only gone 3 places: Florida, Chicago, and New Orleans, and that's it. I haven't been anywhere else.
Well, all I know is meeting Liz was like a major highlight of like all of it. So
I felt the same way.
Yeah.
I think it was Minnesota though, because I remember when I checked in, they were so friendly. You know, they're like, it's Minnesota. They're so friendly. And they were like, Ms. Reinhardt, you can have all the soda you want from the soda bar. When I got back, teachers were like, how was it? And I'm like, I don't know about here in Georgia, but in Minnesota, I can have all the soda I want from the soda bar because I'm famous. So they still will make fun of me. They'll be like, do you feel bad that you have to pay for that soda? Like, do you feel like you shouldn't have to pay for it? I do.
Uh-oh.
Oh, look at you. You're so happy.
Yeah, she sees herself.
I miss having kids that age.
It's fun. I mean, it's cool.
It's so fun.
Your girls are like a couple years, you know, maybe they'll want kids and then you'll have.
Well, no, it's fantastic. We're stuck in here for COVID, and I've got one that's a gourmet cook, and they're doing college online, and yeah, I'm not going to complain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, you need to write a book with a dragon in it, Liz.
I told Frank your idea about just taking one that didn't work and just making it fantasy, and he was like, "That's pretty
dragon in there." Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Jessica, you've got to read this book.
It looks like, Jessica, maybe the feed is a little frozen.
I think she got frozen. Yeah. So, Liz, how many things do you have on the back burner right now?
So I have three books on the back burner, but
are they completed?
No, but one is like pretty close. One's like 70%.
So which one is that?
So I wrote this one because I missed my teacher friends.
Yeah.
So I wrote like a teacher book. It's so good. It's so good because teaching is fun and crazy, and the teacher.
So it's an adult book.
Yeah, it's a grown-up book, but it has a lot of kids in it.
Do you feel comfortable sharing anything about it?
So it doesn't have an agent or anything like that. It's just like on the burner, but it's about 4 teachers who like don't want to be separated from their teams. This always happens when you teach. Like your team gets broken up, and they get separated, and then they like wind up being like the wonder team, like the best team in the school. But the problem is, whenever you have a team like that, you wind up like causing trouble with the admin because he just noticed.
Sorry, guys. It looks like our internet dropped out there for a second.
No.
He just noticed.
Are we live still? I think we're live still.
Yeah, we're still live. It won't end until I hit it. But yeah, it like completely kicked me out altogether. I had to like turn off the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, you froze. You see it? I was like, why is she so zen-like? She's like so still.
She's
and so chill.
She's just
What is going on?
Because I'm sitting on. I need to clean this room and do a better setup. Because I'm sitting on the bed and I slowly like fall on it. Yeah. So then I'm like,
it's okay. Yo, Liz, I'm curious about the book about the teachers. What is it that compels you about that story? What is it you love about it?
So I think like in this day and age, you know it, like teachers, they're either like saviors or like they're demons. Like nobody has an in between. Like they love the teachers, or they're like, let me tell you about my kid's stupid teacher. And I've worked many jobs. I've been working steady since I was 14. I've had so many jobs, and I will tell you, bottom line, I've had muck like labor jobs. I've had nice cushy jobs. Teaching is a wreck. It is. I love it. I will probably go back to teaching at some point. It is the hardest job. I don't give a crap how long you get off. Your summer is basically just spent like cocooning, so you're ready to see those kids again. I love it. It's a weird job because you can love it so much, like with your whole heart, and you can also just like I rarely met a teacher who wasn't like, I'm thinking about leaving the profession. Like maybe at least every year or two you think about it. So
yeah, but you said middle school though, right?
Oh, middle school is terrible.
There are. I have. Let me tell you, my kids who are great. They're now in their 20s. We adopted them very close together. So I had 4 middle schoolers at the same time.
Oh my god.
Oh, so you skipped the baby age.
Yeah, middle school is an interesting time.
You got.
I love them. I love them, but like. Yeah. I just don't want to be around that. I don't want to be around 30 of them 5 times a day. Like,
I don't think it's a coincidence that the local bar had, like, every time I passed by there, it was completely filled with middle school teachers.
And that's always the first job I get. I told my husband, I'm certified pre-K through 12, so I can teach anything. And I put out, whenever I've gone back to work, I've put all the resumes out, and I always get middle school interview.
I bet you're great at it, though. I bet you're absolutely fantastic at it.
I mean, I try, but they're great. They are great. And like, you have to just say to yourself, like, you are seeing them at, like, imagine yourself at, like, 12, 13, 14.
Yeah, they can't help it. They can't help it. They're a mess.
They can't help it. They literally, like, are hormone-driven.
And
then I did 4th grade, and it was, like, so wonderful. And I got pregnant with bees, and we just decided that I would switch and be at home. So I teach kids in China online in the mornings.
Oh, that's right. You said that. Yeah. What are you teaching?
So I just teach, like, it's really like a tutoring thing. So it's these like brilliant kids, and I go over like an English lesson with them. So I teach all different levels and all different ages, and they're wonderful. And it's really nice. And it's way early in the morning. So like literally no one in the house is up, and I teach.
So do you write every day, or do you have a chance to do that?
So no, and I think that's like, so I think it's like you get yourself in the habit or you don't. And I have been out of it for a while, but I don't know. I feel like it's coming back. It'll happen. She's getting just old enough that she's playing on her own. Like there's gonna, like, Amelia was just Beeze's age when I started writing Double Clutch, the first book, because she would go outside in the yard and I would bring my laptop and she would just play and I would write. So I'm like, please, like, hit that stage, because Mama can write just a little bit every day.
So I'm really curious. What are you reading? What have you read that you've really loved also?
So, okay, did you guys read, so there's a grown-up book. Did you guys read Daisy Jones and the Six?
No, but we want to hear about all the books that you like.
Oh my God, it was so good. So it was sort of like, kind of like Fleetwood Mac, if like, it was fictionalized, and it was told from all of these. It was the most unreliable narrator book, but like in a really great, like, exciting way, because you know how like you remember something and then your friend will be like, that's not how it happened. It kind of was like that. And they write about this album, and usually I don't really love reading about like poems or music and books, because it's like, no, like this is the first book I've ever read where I was like, I wish that was a real album. Like when I finished reading the book, I was like, wait, but they're not a real band. I can't listen to Aurora. I want to hear it, you know? Like, it was crazy. It was really, really good.
So what's the name of it? That again?
Daisy Jones and the Six.
Okay. And what else have you been reading that you liked?
And I read Abigail's book Every Other Weekend. Did you read it?
I love her stuff. I
still need to read that one.
Oh my God. Okay, I will tell you this. I read one of Abigail's books just because I figured, oh, she's in Cured Press. I'll read a book. I loved it so much. I literally read. I read every single thing that woman has ever read.
It's wonderful.
And
Every Other Weekend, I don't know how she did it because it's every other weekend. So during the week they're like text messaging and stuff. Yeah. And to keep the character voice through you don't have to guess like, wait, who's sending that text? Oh, that's Adam. Oh, that's Jolene, because she does such a great job. And I love that her main characters were Adam is a very like soft, emotional, like good guy, and she's a very like go get him, kind of like abrasive, but you fall in love with them.
It was so great. Good. Everything she writes is like this. So what we're talking about Every Other Weekend. If you haven't purchased it yet, go out and purchase it. This woman is a genius. Everything she writes is super high quality, awesome.
So good.
Yeah.
I love it. I loved it. Yeah, I actually wrote her and I was like, I don't want to be stalkerish, but that was a really freaking good book, man. That was really good. I mean, I read a lot of YA, so that was.
I'm trying to coax her into fantasy. Also, I'm doing this.
She's like a dealer. She's a pusher.
I am. I'm a gateway. I am a fantasy.
Well,
gateway.
You know what I said before.
Yeah.
You just need to get all these people together, and if you don't know who to divvy up, I've been keeping tabs. Okay, I've dealt with the tarot for over 20 years, and every time that somebody comes on the show and you start talking to them about all this, I'm like, okay, this is the card that they need to do. Right now, you're gonna have to give me some leeway with this. I'm gonna be the one to distribute all the tarot cards to everybody, and I would give her the Lovers.
See, that'd be wonderful. Hey, I have a great tarot card reading story. I went to New Orleans and people go, so I got my tarot cards read, and it was this man. He wanted to talk about The Simpsons. He was so nice, but he was not trying to make it feel magical. He was wearing a Bart Simpson t-shirt, and he threw my cards down. And this was way before bees, so I've been trying to have a second baby for 10 years. And he looked at my cards and he's like, "You have one kid," and I'm like, "I do." And he's like, "But you want another one really badly, don't you?" And I was like, "Maybe I do." And he's like, "Well, you're going to have another kid." And I was like, "I am?" And I'm like, "I don't think so. I've been to a lot of doctors." He's like, "Listen to me. I have never, ever seen the tarot cards so strongly tell me something.
Wow.
You're going to have another kid." And then he was like, "Did you ever see that Simpsons episode where Bart and Lisa?" So Frank was like, "The Simpsons guy told you you're going to have a kid." He's like, "Sweetie." And because I would get so sad every month when it didn't happen. He was like, "He seems like a really nice man." And then when we got pregnant with bees, I was like, "I have to find the Simpson guy." I don't know if he's watching somewhere. Thank you, Simpsons man tarot card reader. You're amazing. You know.
Hopefully he's watching this YouTube broadcast right.
We need to market it to him. We need to be right
to the tarot community. To the tarot community. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Every time somebody comes on, I've got it in there. Okay, yeah, this person needs this card to do the story for.
That's why when I wrote Double Clutch, I was reading a lot of, that was a time of a lot of YA issue books, and they're great and they're wonderful, but it was oh God, I cannot read another book where the sibling dies or they have anorexia. It was so beautiful, but you'd just be down after every book. And I was like, it just felt like a hot romance. So I wrote Double Clutch, and it's a hot look. Samantha Young says it's seriously addictive. There.
All right, at this moment, so sometimes it can change for authors. What is your favorite book that you have written?
That I wrote?
Yeah.
Myself?
That you have written.
Yeah, I think it would be Double Clutch.
Okay, I'm buying that one immediately.
Because
how many books have you written?
A lot.
I don't know. I've written 5 or 6. I don't know.
They're very well reviewed. Like they are all well reviewed.
You know what one is really
Wow.
hot that people always like is Fall Guy. This one got this
Ooh,
cover.
ooh, love that cover.
Yeah, pretty much all of her reviews are like these are super
They're
hot.
super hot.
Romance.
You love it. So this was my original cover. I picked this cover. I picked this was mine for Fall Guy. And I was like, look at how
Those
she's
are
grabbing
great.
it. She's like,
Awesome.
I love you.
I
Anyway,
like both of those.
it's a very like family book. It's like a very like they both come from really dysfunctional families, and they kind of save each other. And I love that. Like I love when you're reading a book, it's not just like a good girl and like a bad boy. No, they're both really messed up and they just come together. It's always love. If I can't think of what to write, I'm like, well, like maybe they can make out again. Yeah, that'll be
When in doubt, have them make out. That's just the way it goes.
I'm not a great plotter.
Hence the 4 and 5 star reviews all over.
Like it's a lot of making out in this book.
Well, you do it so well, Liz.
Well, thank you. Thanks. I guess I like making out.
Well, gosh.
Ooh, you can actually pre-order the flip side of Perfect.
What?
Yeah.
Does it have a cover?
No.
Oh. Okay, so Secret Time. It has a cover, but I don't know if the cover is totally done yet, so I can't show it. Like
So
they showed me
You're
a.
pretty excited about that, right? I
What's
mean,
that?
You're very excited about that book, right?
Yeah, it's really. I don't know. I've never, everybody's like, oh, this is what I do. Like, I get up at like 6 every morning and I write for 3 hours and like I have a coffee and I eat 6 almond cookies and like, I don't know, man. Every book I've written has been like totally different. And this one, I would read a chapter. It'd be really like long and winding and kind of boring. And I would read it and I would like close that document and I would start from the top and retype it. Just like the best pieces that I could remember because it was too long. Because I was writing like in between, feeding my kid and changing diapers and whatever. It needed to be like, so I really enjoyed writing it. It was a new way to write.
Do you guys do this? Like, whenever I go back through, because I started working on the massive hoard of books that I want to write, do you guys like go back through and reread it from the beginning every time you start writing again, or no?
Okay, so that's my favorite. Like, oh, I'm gonna be working on my book. So, in my opinion, you get to a hump. For me, it's like usually 50,000 words where you're just sick of it and you don't. Like, I just don't want to do it. I just don't want to tie it up. I don't want to finish it. And I have to so I won't let myself go back until I finish one draft and then go back and reread it. Otherwise, I could spend forever just like tweaking. Like, oh, I love that first chapter. But nobody's going to buy like 6 chapters of a book. You have to finish.
So you don't ever like get confused, like, okay, where did I leave off on this thing?
Oh, for sure. That's like where your editors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I don't plot. Like I do if I leave too much time in it. So like my first version of The Flip Side of Perfect, God bless Tasha. She was like, so just have a few notes. I literally, Frank was standing behind me like, send it. He was like, send this book. So I just hit send. I knew it was a mess, and she kind of helped guide me like through it. So
God bless Tasha. Shout out to Tasha right now. She's my editor too. We have the same editor.
She's so
Because it's like
wonderful.
I couldn't see doing a series because like even just reading it, I would have to go back and like reread the first ones to continue it because I would have massive flow charts. Do you have massive flow charts, Lori? Because I would have no
Lori
idea
does like
what's
that.
going
I
on.
should. Tasha should be sainted. Let's just say that.
Everybody just makes out in mine. I just have to remember, like, did they make out yet? Nothing happens. I'm just
You
kidding.
know what? I am going to follow the Liz Reinhardt school of writing. Whenever I get stuck from now on, I'm just going to have characters make out.
There you go.
Says the writer who's like on the top of all the charts and selling like crazy.
Yeah, well,
you know,
nothing
Lori.
keeps your next draft from being a hot mess. All right, let's just say that.
In the Shadow Wand, it kind of felt like every time you weren't sure what to do in the last part of that, two people decided to do something else until they ran out of Sanji route.
You know what? I had so much fun writing that. I give no apologies for that.
I don't think you
So
should.
good though, but
And then Like, don't ever call me because Lori will be like, "What should I do?" And I'm like, "I know what you should do."
Make out. Trying to find somebody to make out.
Hot make out scene, Lori.
It works. I'm gonna follow her method. Her method.
It's proven.
It's like somebody needs to go make out. Somebody hasn't made out in like 2 chapters. Somebody needs to make out.
Throw a make-out scene in there.
Like if there's nobody around, they can just go make out with a tree or something. You know, they're pissed off anyway.
Lori, see that would work in your book.
I'm proud of that one scene. All right, I'm going to stand by that. I stand firmly by that one chapter.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that's the new rule now. You know, if you're stuck,
make out.
Make out.
Make out scene.
There you go. Done.
Is that like no one's going to actually complain about this? I don't think.
Let's see. Well, Allie has some tips here. She says, please write that tarot card experience into your next book. And then I would love to read if the main character got tarot card readings saying that they were going to die, and then the main character becomes a vampire. Oh, that would be interesting.
That is awesome. I love that.
That's good.
And then, you know, Midnight Sun's coming. Midnight Sun is coming. Yes. And of course, I mean, nobody needs to call this. I think we're going to see a resurgence in vampiric.
Well, Craze came out, and then actually book 2 to that got pushed up. It's now coming out in September instead of next year. Yeah, and I mean that book's not thin. I mean that is like I think it's over like 500 pages. Oh
my gosh!
Wow, there's so many good vampire books
somewhere. Oh, it's over there. I can see it, but I mean, it's thick.
Vampires are coming back.
Vampires.
So Liz, when are you gonna write the vampire book?
I better do it. Contemporary always has just a minute and then it's like, get rid of contemporary. We're back to the.
I really want that book.
Like a little tiny moment, but it's really, you know.
I promise you this: with your talent with romance, if you write the vampire book, every other book gets just thrown to the side of my house, and that's gonna be the book.
Well, Lori, I love that, so I guess I better get on it.
You better get on that. All right.
I tried to remember it, but it was terrible.
I need to find all your books, Liz, because like I love all the make out books. So I've got to read all of them now.
Yeah, and she's got skills. Let me tell you, this woman has skills. So
you like post it every time somebody makes out. I'll shove a post it, and then I'll send it. Then I'll send it to you when I'm done, and be like, okay, this is
the whole book. Was like,
yeah. It'll be like those copies every time somebody dies or something.
Let me just say, romance, is not actually easy to write. If people think it is, try and write a genuinely hot scene. You will find this isn't as easy as you think to do.
Yeah, and it's either like a manual, like robotic, or like it's really mushy and gushy, and you're like, no, it's not. It's hard.
But at least you guys have some of the things that other people don't. You have husbands. So if something isn't working, you're like, yo, honey, come here.
For real.
Are they the templates?
Doesn't work if you're just, single and you're making out with your pillow.
I don't know.
I will admit, there's a little bit of Lucas and Vale Gardner that was definitely inspired by my husband. I will admit.
Aww. It's very sweet. Well, I am embarrassed to admit that my main character, who's awesome, Jude, is amazing, and the flip side of perfect. I rewatched Frozen 2, and I was like, oh God, is he Kristoff? That's what happened to me with 2-year-old. You're just like, I guess he's kind of Kristoff. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like a man's man. He's very like sensitive and like supports his woman. It's good, but
yeah, inspiration comes from all places. You never know.
You gotta take your inspiration where you can.
You do. You actually do. Yes. When you have a baby, it's you gotta really stretch. If you're writing romance.
Well, guys, make sure to check out both of these authors' amazing books, both self-published and not. And thank you so much for coming on the show. We have like 30
Thank you
seconds.
so much for having us.
Yeah, it's so good to see you, Liz. Oh my God.
Good to see you too.
We gotta get online at some point, like again, some other venue.
Yes, I don't know. My teen daughter says there's lots of them. What do I know?
All right, write the vampire book, Liz.
I will.
With, of course, lots of kissing, because you can't have vampires without kissing.
That's true. That's true. All right. Well, it was so nice to see you guys. My baby's probably like ripping the house apart, so I guess I'll go.
Yep. All right.
She's
See
a
ya.
mama's girl.
Thank you so much, guys.
All
Make
right.
sure to
Good night,
tune
Liz.
in tomorrow when we talk with Catherine Stein.
Ooh, well, that
The
looks
Witch of the
cool.
Wild Beast. Isn't this gorgeous?
Wow, I love that cover. Ooh,
Yeah.
Love it.
Wow.
This starts out and she's this is actually self-published, I'm pretty sure. But
Amazing
it
cover.
actually starts out and she's in jail and she's calling all like the birds and stuff to her cell. Like it has got a nice little like 1-page prologue that is like insane.
I love prologues. I
love prologues too.
I love them.
Not that you can read it, but
Yeah, that looks fantastic.
yeah, it's like in my lonely cell up on Cherry Hill, I drew the furry creatures toward me. A bit of bread. So I'll be
Very
talking
cool.
with her tomorrow. Very cool. It was really good. All right.
Very
See
cool.
you guys later.
Jessica, thank you yet again.
Thank you so much, Jessica.
No problem.
All right, Liz, catch you online.